Hey, what's up? Welcome back. It's Matt with MJ Gabel. This is how to get into the diamond business. This is technically episode number 1 of 2024, talking about insurance, AML, and your location. I haven't covered this at all, and it reminded me to cover this because we get our insurance renewals basically year end. It is now February 2nd, 2024. But I remember getting that dreadful packet in the mail, basically our renewal and so on and so forth. So that's important. And funny, I should mention AML, anti-money laundering policy, which in order to deal in precious metals or diamonds, you have to have one. And of course, we're getting audited again by our bank, and this happens typically every couple of years, and we'll go over that. And then location, depending on whether you're going to be a standalone retail, private jeweler, broker, etc. I think these are things that are very important if you're getting in the diamond business or are in the diamond business and you need to make some changes. So let's start out with insurance. I can tell you there's one big conglomerate in the industry that most jewelers use, and that's Jewelers Mutual. That's who we use. We've been with Jewelers Mutual, for I think at least a decade. They're the largest, I would say, and the best coverage, in my opinion. We got a notice at the end of last year that our rates were going up. Our premiums were going like 40%, based on their adjustments. So we did have to make a phone call into them, make some changes. It did go up, but it didn't go up 40%. So insurance can be fairly expensive depending on how much product you're covering. So for us, all of our product is covered, but we also have product coverage in 2 locations because we have an on-site vault and an off-site vault to handle our client pieces. That's important because we don't need everything in-house all the time because we do a lot of large value consignment goods for clients all over the world, basically. These are high net worth individuals that send us their pieces to represent and market because they're not familiar on how to sell them. We protect the client both in fraud and also making sure that they get a higher value than just a regular dealer or wholesale price. So we represent thousands of goods per year and sell those globally to sellers across the globe. These are end user consumers that buy these. So we're able to get a much better price point for that. So with insurance, we have to cover all of that. And then you can get shipping insurance within Jewelers Mutuals. We don't use theirs. We have a standalone shipping insurance because that is another very, 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 very expensive cost for us, is shipping. Shipping through the years has gone up tremendously, and our shipping can run us anywhere from $500 a week to $2,000 a week, depending how many goods are coming and going. That's expensive. That's an awful lot of money that we spend on shipping. So for shipping, we use Parcel Pro. They're both FedEx and UPS. You can ship through them. Insured. Each package is insured individually. It's not a plan that you pay into. So that's separate from our actual Jewelers Mutual policy. So there are some other players out there. I've actually quoted them this past year. Because of the 40% increase, I wanted to see and check Jewelers Mutual to make sure that their prices were still in line, and I can tell you they are. I quoted everybody else. The most expensive was like over $6,000 for the year. The least expensive didn't come close to Jewelers Mutual, so I'll leave it at that. So if you're looking for insurance, I would highly, highly recommend Jewelers Mutual and look into them. If you're looking for a shipping outfit to insure your packages through shipping, I would highly, highly, highly recommend Parcel Pro. We've been using them probably 6 or 7 years, I would say, probably maybe even longer than that, maybe 8 years. So anti-money laundering policy. This is something you can Google. It's very complex. I remember the first time I realized I had to do this, I think it was in like 2010 or 11 when I created the company and didn't realize that I had to abide by this. Thank God I hadn't done much business or wasn't that far into business when I found out, but it's real and it is a pain in the ass. For the larger companies, they want you to have a third party audit you basically every year to make sure that you're in compliance. There's a organization, and it's going to escape me, that can help you with this. So the company that I'm referring to it's an organization, the Jewelers Vigilance Committee, the JVC. We were a member with them for a very long time. We had some issues that had arose through the JVC, and we decided to drop them, but we were a member of the JVC. So the JVC does have a program for your anti-money laundering policy, and they will help you write it up and make sure that you're compliant. That is very, very, very important. It's important because your banking institute that you use will ask for that, and if you don't have it, they will drop you. We've been asked, I think, 4 or 5 times in the 10 years we've been with our banking institute. This happens to be another year. They're looking back into it. They have an overriding department, I think, that checks fraud and risk, assesses the risk for having anybody involved in a jewelry and or gold business. So if you don't know what it is, matter of fact, I'll put some links below for the Jewelers Vigilance Committee and also some links through what AML is to help you. So hopefully that will point you in the right direction. Location. So when we started the company, we were out of an apartment, basically, and we traveled to Ohio, Pennsylvania, throughout New York State, and bought diamonds and gold goods. Then we graduated into a building. We bought out one of my old partners that was in the gold business. It was a building that was already pretty much set up for that, so we bought him out and ran our company there in Ontario, New York for 4 or 5 years, and then for some bright idea, I decided to bring our products and services retail, which was probably one of the worst mistakes I think we ever made. When we did that, we opened ourselves up basically just to a huge retail marketplace that the consumers, end users, that unfortunately are almost always impossible to make happy. I hate to say that. The internet has changed the way people shop and do business, and when people know that you're in business for yourself and you're trying to build something and give back to the community, they are not afraid to use that against you if they feel that they were wronged or, I don't want to say taken advantage of, but simple things like they lost an earring back on an earring and they expect you to pay for that earring back for the life of the time that they own those earrings for, no matter how many times they lose it. Or you size a ring for somebody, they gain weight 2 years later, and they want you to resize it for free. Or we've had a lot of arrogant people that came into the store and would mistreat my staff to the point of crying, throwing cash down and saying it's not a pleasant place to be dealing with the retail public. So we did that for some years through COVID, and when COVID hit, New York State said you're a non-essential business, so you basically can't do retail right now. So we laid everybody off, and it was my wife and myself. We still had all of our online platforms, all of our internet, e-commerce stuff was still running. So we just said, hey, we'll monitor it, see what happens. This was March of 2020, and heading into spring, and usually our slow months in the jewelry business is July and August. And believe it or not, we had incredible June, July, and August, and decided at that point we're not going to go back to retail, and we went back to private appointment and scaled it down a little bit. Since then, we've had even more growth than we had in the retail side. We're able to give more attention to our clients. We do a lot of buying, consigning, and consulting. So that's always been strong. And the private appointments didn't work for everybody, but our sales on that side, my wife working one-on-one or us working one-on-one with clients for larger pieces and creating pieces, obviously that's grown too. So location for you is going to depend on, you want to be in a suite, in a smaller type organization and do appointment only. You want to be retail, Main Street. I've done all of that. I built the whole entire store out. So I've got experience in the private sector and also the public sector, and we do a little bit of kind of a hybrid right now, both. So we still do have some walk-ins and clients that we do see. So that's the gist of where we came from and my input on insurance, anti-money laundering policy, and your location. If there's a topic you guys want me to cover, comment below. I'm happy to cover it. We can get into security. We can get into cameras. We can get into safes, TL30s, TL, all that stuff. That's more about, obviously, the industry. This industry goes so deep. I can also talk about certain platforms you need to be on or certain relationships you need to have. Especially like if you don't work with a cutter, you should probably get a relationship with a cutter and repolish and cut stones that you buy. There's a tremendous amount of information that we can talk about. So as always, guys, I appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you next time.